No, now my computer's gone to sleep. Unbelievable. No, I can't even go on Facebook now. It's good, isn't it?
We must be live on Facebook by now.
We are live
Yeah,
on Facebook.
we're live.
Yeah.
So if I copy that link to that will share then, won't it? Right. And so if everyone just gives us a few seconds to get the link shared around places, and then we'll probably be good to go, won't we?
I feel like with all these screens and this, you know, it's basically setting up my my living room as a TV studio. It's getting more evil scientist layer as it goes along. All I've got is previews up here, previews over there, live chat here. It's fascinating, but goodness me, it's lucky I'm not one of those people that's dreadful at multitasking.
I was waiting for your green screen to be you walking on with some questions.
I can't do the funny green screen backgrounds and humorous playing about with special effects while I'm also live streaming, unfortunately.
Hence needing two computers.
Yes.
I think Tim's got enough to do actually there.
Yeah, no, and it's appreciated as well, because I ain't got a clue what's going on. So. We've got someone joining us. I can see a hand. Oh. I don't know who's just joined us there. Audio is just about to connect.
Oh, and my phone's ringing. I don't even know where my phone is. Excuse me a second.
So for those just joining, we're just trying to share the link around a few places, and then we'll be with you all. David will have to entertain you for a minute with some of his jokes.
Well,
maybe not.
Maybe not. No. I'm not in a joke mood at the moment.
I could.
Go on then, Steve.
Go on, give us a joke then, Steve.
Two cowboys are lost in the desert, and they're riding along, and all of a sudden they see this tree covered in bacon.
Oh, there it is.
And one of them says, "Oh, we're saved, food." So he rides over to the tree, and a gunman shoots him dead. It wasn't a bacon tree, it was a ham bush.
I thought David's was bad. That's terrible.
I came back at exactly the wrong time, didn't I?
No, I think you come back at the right time.
Oh, right, okay. I found my phone.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know who was ringing me. It was an anonymous number. So if it's anybody on here, try again. I'll answer. Shall we get cracking?
Yeah, I'm just going to find my agenda. Right. Okay. Well, thank you to everyone that's joined us online here. We'll do what we can. There's a little bit of a delay between what we say on here and it popping up on the
Facebook.
On Facebook. So I've got people joining the group, so I've just admitted them. So introductions. You're right, Sue, and I don't know, Tracy Epton. So yeah, hello everyone that's joining in. So introductions. I'm Councillor MacRae. In case if you don't know, we've got they'll give you a wave. We've got Councillor David Grindell, and we've got Councillor Tim Hallam. And then there's lots of other people joining and that, so welcome everybody. What we're going to do, we've just got a few things on the agenda. There's not too much on there. If you could let us do our little bit, and then if you've got any questions you want to ask us when we get to the end of it, and then we'll do our best to try and answer the questions. If you ask us anything that we can't answer, we'll obviously go away, try and find the answers out for you and come back with them. So all we're going to do is item 2, there's a police update, which I'll do that. Then there's a neighbourhood, bit of advice from the neighbourhood wardens. I'll start that off, and then Tim's going to jump in. He's got some little bits to add to that, which is, information to get out. Then there's an update on the Stapleford town deal, which I imagine is probably what people want to hear. And then once that's done, it's any other business in questions, and we'll let Councillor Grindell do that bit. So aim all your difficult questions at Councillor Grindell, because he's been a councillor a long time and he can answer them, and then me and Tim can just watch. So right, joking aside, so item 2 is the police update. So if it looks like I'm not looking at the camera, it's because I've got a different monitor. I'm trying to read stuff over here. So right, this is what the police have sent in. So generally, crime is quite low around Stapleford, which is a good thing to hear. But there have been a number of thefts of and from vehicles, mainly vans. They seem to take the vans for what they believe are items of value left in the back of them, tools and stuff like that. So what they're saying is they're recommending that all items of note are removed and make sure they're locked up, not in the van. I know it's not always easy to do that, but I suppose if you do, it's better than going nicked. And on that, if anyone wants any items securely marking up like postcode and whatever, give us a shout, and that's something we can organise for you. Okay, it's also starting to get dark in the evenings, and more people returning to work. So what they've said is we need to make sure we lock our houses up, not leave items on show, and close your curtains if you're going out. Leave your TV and radio on. They always say Radio 4's good because it's all talking. It's a bit like listening to me and David. If you have a burglary alarm, make sure it's working and switched on. And the same goes for CCTV and security lights. I would add to that, if you do live in a council property, check with the council about CCTV, because there's different rules and regulations if you're in a council property or a private one. Every time I look at this screen, I can just see a picture of Sue with a smiley face, and it's nice to see someone smiling. Right, so we've done that bit. They've also said it's time to remind people that if they haven't already taxed and MOT'd the cars, make sure that's done, because the grace time will soon be over. Some people's got extended because of what was happening, so double check that, and I've got to do mine. And while speaking of COVID, masks need to be worn in shops and other places. And for full details, keep an eye on the government website. Everyone's sharing it. You've only got to turn the telly and radio on, and you're hearing it all the time, so listen to that, and that it is what it is. Right, reports of antisocial behaviour are high on social media, but these reports are not being passed on to the police, which is quite worrying. So anyone witnessing antisocial behaviour is advised to call the police on 101, or you can use Crime Stoppers, either online, or you can give them a call. Just Google it and the number will come up. I should have had the number to hand, but I forgot what it was. And then on Wednesday, the 9th of September, which is a week on Wednesday at 10 o'clock, if you've got any bikes or anything else that you want to have it postcoded, if you bring it up to the church at Montrose Court, which, if you don't know, it's off Melbourne Road in Stapleford, you can have them securely marked free of charge. There's more of these events going to be happening in different areas, so if anyone's got an idea where to do it, give us a shout. We've got all the kit for doing it, and it's completely free of charge. So that's it, really, short and sweet. So I don't know, should we do it now, or do you want us to do it at the end, like the questions, or while we're on the police?
I would say. Apparently we've got people waiting to get in as well, according to Facebook. I would say we can take any questions or comments for anybody now. We can take it on live on Zoom using the Zoom chat, or on Facebook. As Richard said earlier, bearing in mind that there's about a 20 to 30 second lag between what's happening live and what's happening on Facebook. So if we don't get straight round to you and you're posting any questions or comments for the rest of this meeting on Facebook, just bear with us, because it takes a second for it to get through.
Has anyone got any questions on the police stuff, or if we've missed something and you've got any questions that you'd like us to take to the police and ask them? Has anyone got anything? I mean, you can turn your mics on and give us a shout, or use the chat if you don't want to turn the mics on and that.
No, I think we're all good, mate.
Okay, well, if you do have any questions and you think of anything, whiz them across to us. We don't have to do it on here. You can do it in confidence and all that kind of stuff. There's loads of councillors in Stapleford. You don't have to get in touch with us. You can get in touch with any of the councillors you want. And if you go on Stapleford Town Council website, all the contact details are on there. So just let them know, and all the councillors will do it the same. It's all confidential, and they'll pass it on to the police and get back to you if that's something. So
just before we move on, a question's just popped up. Well, a comment has just popped up on Facebook from somebody called Maria, who said that I've had to report drone issues recently. this isn't the first time I've heard of that. Actually, drones are becoming a bit of a nuisance, and I haven't personally spoken to Inspector Riley about drones specifically or anything. I don't know whether you have, Richard or David or anybody else.
I haven't. I have seen people, mention it on social media. Again, I'd say to them, ring the police up and let them know. But that's something we can ask for. I mean, anyone flying a drone should have a drone license. Even if you've got one and you're letting someone borrow it, you've got to have a certificate for that. I know I had to pass mine before I went with a drone. I had to go on a drone. But there is specific rules. You're not supposed to be so close to a house. And there's lots of things they shouldn't be doing. So if someone's flying them over your gardens, I'm guessing they shouldn't be doing that. So please let the police know, because again, that's one of them things that the more people that report it, the more chance the inspector can action it and get the police to do something. If you don't and you just bang it on social media, then I'm sorry, the police, they might see it, but they can't kind of action it because it has to be officially reported to them. So again, contact any of your councillors or just ring the police on 101. You can even use Crime Stoppers. So just get them reports in on that.
There's another one that's popped into the meeting chat about antisocial behaviour on Broad Oak Drive. Reporting regularly, it's happening daily, nothing's being done. Go on, David.
And I come in here, there is things being done. If you ring the police and you get a crime or incident number, which you should be given, this goes down into a record. And the more times that these incidents are reported, unless it's a 999 emergency, then the police will deal with it. So the more times that people report any issues at all regarding from people causing antisocial behaviour to drugs, anything else, ring the police and report it and get the number. If you don't do that, then it won't get looked into.
Yeah, following on from what you're saying there, David. I mean, I've said to people in the past, I know how frustrating it is because it's happened to me, where you go to report something and then the response time is, because it's not urgent, because it's not life-threatening, so it's not a 999 call, and somebody eventually comes round, or maybe they don't, and it leaves you with this impression of, goodness me, what is the point in reporting this at all if nobody's going to do anything about it? What I've said to that in the past is, yes, it's frustrating. Reporting it is still vital, because even if it doesn't mean that you personally get the service that you would like, statistically it's useful, because when we complain about police funding or numbers of bobbies on the beat, then the first thing, speak as a politician, the first thing politicians are going to do to defend themselves is say, but our statistics say everything's okay. So, and the statistics will look okay when people aren't reporting crimes. So reporting crimes that don't get investigated is still useful, because then we can say there have been this number of crimes as a more representative number of what's actually happening, and there aren't enough police to deal with it, which means that no, the problem's not going to be solved today, but at least there's a justification to get a bigger budget for the coppers, or reallocate police resources to put more bobbies on the beat in this area in the future. So it's still a useful exercise, even though it's bloody frustrating that you're not going to get the personal service that you want.
Absolutely correct, Tim.
Yeah, and we can get the details about drones and that and bang it online as well, so people can have a read of it. But yeah, like we said, definitely give the police a chat. So has anyone else got any questions they'd like to ask on? Hopefully that
Ella asked, what do you mean by antisocial behaviour? I'm not exactly sure. Essentially, Ella, antisocial behaviour in this context is when people are being a bloody nuisance, not necessarily breaking any laws, but certainly being not the kind of thing that we want to be going on in Stapleford. So if people were all gathering around a shop door and being loud and obnoxious and scaring old people that want to get into the shop or something like that, that would fall under antisocial behaviour, or it can go all the way into criminal activities, including graffitiing and drug misuse and everything like that. So basically, antisocial behaviour is a whole broad category of just people being not so pleasant.
Right, that's brilliant. So anyone got any questions on police issues, or if you think of any, just give us a shout at the end when we do the other bit. So,
I'm going to jacket potato. I was going to say, I made a massive stew and there's loads of...
I can hear someone talking about a stew. You're making me hungry. Who's that? Stew and a jacket potato.
A brutal round here.
Oh,
Whoever's talking about dinner, you've got your microphone on and you're making the rest of us hungry.
that's stew.
Right. Okay.
Right. Should we move on? Should we move on to the next item, Richard?
So the next item is me feeding my belly in a minute. Right.
Talking about jacket potato and stew, don't we? Oh.
I don't know who it is. I can still hear him.
It's the person called Fire Tablet.
Wait a
You
minute.
can Fire Tablet, whoever you are, you have got a mute button on there if you there you go.
This could be too hot to handle, you know.
It's muted.
Oh,
Right.
Come on.
A bit of an update off the neighbourhood wardens then. So what they're saying is, and I'm sure most of us know this, fly tipping, and it's bad everywhere, but we're just here for Stapleford. So fly tipping is a big issue at the moment, which seems to be rising. And again, if you see anything, please let neighbourhood wardens know about this. You can call them directly, and we'll put these details up in a bit, on 0115 917, and it's 3142, or you can email them at wardens@broxtowe.gov.uk. Same again, you can let your councillors know, but it is better if you report it yourself to the wardens, especially if you've witnessed it, because they're the ones that can deal with stuff like that. If you guys tell councillors and we pass it on, it's a third party passing it on, and yeah, they will look into it. Yes, it will get removed and all that lot, but it's a lot better if it comes directly from you. So that's the thing. And also a big thing as well is if you're a householder and you are required to take reasonable steps to check that what you're getting rid of is actually being done by proper people. I know there's a lot of people on social media that do, man and van, woman and van, and they'll get rid of your rubbish and they do it properly, and I'm sure the majority do, but there's the odd few out there that don't. They'll take your 20 quid off you, they'll take your rubbish, they'll chuck it in a bush, the council will go through it all, they'll find your name and address, you get the big fat fine, and it ain't a small fine, and they are actively doing that. They're doing it now, they've always done it, so if they do, there's people around here that's been prosecuted, so make sure that when you do contact someone, you can ring the council up. I know a lot of people don't want to do that and they say it's 30 quid and this, that and the other. It is a lot cheaper than getting a big fine. But, there is people that will do it cheap, of course there is. But then just make sure that these people ask your waste carrier to provide you with their full name, address and telephone number. You also need to check their waste carrier licence, which is issued by the Environmental Agency or the National Resource. Oh, that's in Wales. I don't think they're going to come from Wales, so it's rubbish around here. So just check that they've got a waste carrier licence, which has been issued by the Environmental Agency. You can contact them directly, and again, we'll put these details up on 03708 506 506, and you can ask them to check. They'll do an instant waste carrier validation check, or you can go on the Environmental Agency website and check yourself. Like I say, we had the council blokes, and thank you to them for all the work they're doing. They came out the other day. I don't know if you saw the pictures on social media, just along Melbourne Road. The vans are massive, and they filled the van up just after 6 o'clock when they started, and they ended up taking it all to Kimberley and tipping it, and then they came back to get a load more, and that had only come from 3, 4 at the most addresses, all on Melbourne Road. So there's a lot of people up here fly tipping. If I don't report it and it gets left there, and others the same. If we just don't report it and it gets left there, it's, councillors don't do anything, there's rubbish everywhere. If we do report it, then you just get, people are like, just dump it again because the councillors will get rid of it. But people know who's doing this. There's a cost to it being done. I'd rather seen the money being spent on parks and recreation grounds and other things that Broxton Borough Council are responsible for. So, you know, if you see who's doing it, or you know who's doing it, again, you can ring the neighbourhood wardens, let them know, which is the best thing. You can let us guys know as councillors, and we can pass it on, because they will prosecute people, and there's going to be a big active campaign. I spoke to Councillor Millen yesterday, who's the leader of Oxford Council. It's something he wants to push because they're having problems up in Eastwood. And like I say, Stapleford, you know, it's happening a lot more than it used to. So if you know who it is, you know, rat on a rat, as I always say, because it's just wrong what they're doing. So that's really it. And if anyone's got any questions on stuff like that you want the neighbourhood wardens to come back with an answer for, you can ask us now, and then we can always take it to them if anyone's got anything.
To give everybody a few seconds to throw questions up and stuff, I'll jump in and mention a couple of things on top of what you've already said. It's not related to neighbourhood wardens specifically, although it is Broxtowe and waste related, which is a reminder to everybody that that Monday's a bank holiday, so the bin collection is going to be pushed back by a day. That's the first one. Second one, I've sent a couple of communications with good response from Borough Council officers recently about glass collection. I accumulated, as a lot of us did over lockdown, quite a lot of empty bottles, probably more than is good for my health. And so when I went round to Hickings Lane Park recycling glass bins, they've been continuously full for a number of weeks. And it's not because they're not getting emptied, it's because people have upped their consumption of waste glass vessels, bottles and such, and particularly brown bottles seem to be an issue because there are less brown glass bins than there are anything else at the moment. Broxtowe are dealing with it, they're monitoring it. Last time I went over there, they'd responded to my request to get it sorted out. All the broken glass was cleaned up. There were no more leftover bags that wouldn't fit in the bottle banks themselves. They'd all been removed. So Broxtowe are on top of this, but it's kind of dealing with the backlog of that was generated over lockdown is taking a bit of effort. So we're on it. But if anybody sees any broken glass, any surplus glass that won't fit in the bottle banks, and it's causing a hazard, then please get in touch with one of your councillors or get in touch with Broxtowe Borough Council directly, and we will get it sorted, because nobody wants little kids tripping over and falling into a bunch of broken glass just because there's too much of it at the moment.
And I don't know, has anyone seen what Councillor Carr, who's the Deputy Leader of Broxtowe Council, he's just put up that the council are buying 2 mobile CCTV cameras to try and catch the fly tippers, which is obviously a good thing. And I've just seen a question pop up on Facebook. I'm sure Tim will answer that in a few minutes.
So
so does anyone have anything for the neighbourhood wardens, or are we good to move forward? Or
shall I mention something for the COVID officers as well? Yeah. So we thought we'd include in today, even though it's again not specifically neighbourhood wardens, the fact that people will have hopefully noticed that there are 2 COVID information officers that now work for Broxtowe, and the Zahid is concentrating mainly on Beeston, and then Janice, who is our information officer in Stapleford, as well as Kimberley and Eastwood. And the information officer's role is to help our high streets and our businesses and the customers in our high streets to feel safe and to be safe shopping in the sort of recovery from COVID, still high risk environment that we're currently in. They've been on the books and working very hard for a couple of months now. I had the pleasure to be out and about on rounds with Janice up in Eastwood the other day, where we did a bit of a news piece for ITV Central News East Midlands. I was on it for a grand total of 2 seconds, so I don't think my star of fame on Hollywood Boulevard is going to be forthcoming anytime soon, but really good response. And what was interesting when I was talking to Janice was the really warm reception that Stapleford residents and businesses have given to her, and I'm really, really chuffed that that's gone well. We haven't been taking a heavy-handed approach with businesses and social distancing. It's important, but whereas some councillors that I'm aware of, including I believe Nottingham City, just next door, have been taking more of an on-the-spot fines, hitting people with a 2-metre stick kind of approach to shopping safely, whereas we've been more focused on working with the businesses, because we know that the business owners and the shoppers all want to do the right thing. They want it to be a safe and productive environment where people can go about and do their shopping and get home and not having caught anything. So working with people and saying, how can we help? And is there anything you need, and giving people the right information? That's exactly what our COVID officers are there for. So if you're out and about in Stapleford or Beeston or Kimberley or Eastwood, and you want to and you see somebody knocking around in a fluorescent orange jacket with Broxton Borough Council COVID information officer on the back, then feel free to say hello. In Stapleford, it'll almost definitely be Janice, really friendly person. And she's more than happy to sit down and have a chat with people if you've got any questions, concerns, or you just want to talk about the weather. So yeah, really, really good. Glad that we did that. Glad that we took those people on, and we're getting a great response.
Brilliant. Does anyone have any questions on that little bit at the end there? No. Okay.
Okay.
So if we move on, so the next bit is Stapleford Town deal. So it's Tim again.
Right. Well, there's going to be more information coming about this shortly. We're in this awkward stage with the town's deal or bid at the moment, where it's got to a level of detail that it's starting to get commercially sensitive, because we're talking about values of money and we're talking about individual sites and where we can do specific things. Now, if all of that information goes public at the moment, then what will happen is big rich property developer will come in, go, oh, the Stapleford Towns deal / Broxton Borough Council are interested in that site, and then they'll put a bid in and then they'll drive the prices up. So we're having to be a bit closed about where we talk about specifics publicly at the moment, because we don't want that to happen. We want to get 25 million for Stapleford and be able to spend it without having somebody artificially escalate the prices. But there's been a lot of work go on. The plans are looking very good. There was an article in the Post fairly recently that was rubbish, really. It didn't represent well what the town's deal's all about. It focused on one or two things that are relatively inconsequential in the great scheme of things. And then there were a lot of comments on the Post and on social media saying, oh, this isn't what we want for Stapleford. No, you're absolutely right. It's not what we want for Stapleford. This is small fry stuff. What we're talking about really is three main things that we're bidding for, that we want this money for. One is a town centre location that combines public space for councils, maybe Citizen Advice Bureau, maybe police, basically a one-stop shop for public services, all under one roof. And that would be absolutely excellent if we can get it, combined with some better business space, bit more cafe culture kind of thing, as well as versatile community space. At the moment, what we've got in Stapleford, everybody will be aware, is a little hall here and a little hall there, and none of it really meshes up, and different groups use different places, and none of it's particularly spectacular. The idea behind one central facility for that in somewhere near the town centre will be that we can have an up-to-date versatile space that the entire community can use, and I think that'll be a lot better. So that's a big part of it. The other big part will be probably a combination of Ilkeston Road Recreation Ground and Hickings Lane Park as a sports community facility. So at the moment, much like the community centres, we have lots of recreation facilities all over Stapleford, but they're a bit mishmash. And what would be absolutely excellent is if we can have a much more up-to-date facility, probably on Hickings Lane Park, in my opinion, where we can have a decent pavilion for football teams, including Stapleford Town Football Club, maybe somewhere for the Stapleford Youth Services, the youth club, to relocate to, because they've been interested for a while into moving to a location that actually has some green space around it, where the kids can go out and kick a ball and play cricket or chase around a little bit and work off some energy. That would be superb. At the moment, we don't really have any of that, so using this money to be able to get a decent community sports facility as well as a decent town centre facility would be superb. The other one is about infrastructure. So cycling is becoming a bigger thing. The government are pushing very hard for it, and certainly I know from my kids that getting on your bike and wanting to go further afield is kind of difficult, because whilst there are places to cycle in Stapleford, they don't really join up with the cycle infrastructure that we have across Greater Nottingham. So being able to spend that money to join us up, so that my university age son can jump on his bike and cycle all the way from Stapleford to the city centre and go to Nottingham Trent, that would be really good. At the moment, he can't do that without going on the roads, less safe. So that's a big part of it as well. So I'll take any questions or comments about it, but a lot of it is going to be just a case of watch this space, because the plans are very detailed. They're getting more detailed as time goes on, and ultimately they're only speculative until the government turns around in a few months' time and says, yes, here you can have the money, we agree.
There's also, if you look on Broxton Borough Council website, they've set up a specific page for the Stapleford Town Fund, Stapleford Deal, whatever the hundreds of titles it comes under. But we can share the link to that, because there's like minutes to meetings, agendas are on there. There's lots of documents and stuff. And then if you go on Google and type in My Town Stapleford, that website comes up, where lots of people have been putting different ideas and thoughts on there. Everything gets fed back to the groups that's doing all this. And thank you to the officers that's working in the background, because they're doing a hell of a lot of work. I know Tim's keeping them busy. But yeah, keep getting your ideas in there, because that's the only way this is going to work is if the people that sat around the table listen to the community as well, and everyone. It's a Stapleford plan. It's not a Stapleford councillor plan. It's a Stapleford plan. It's for the whole of Stapleford. So get your ideas in, as long as they fit in with the themes and that, really. So yeah, if anyone's got any questions, direct them to Tim.
I think we ought to thank the residents who have been in touch about the Stapleford bid. I know there's quite a couple of hundred at least have been very interested in what's going on, and as Tim said, that we will before long know exactly if we've won the bid or not. But if we don't win the bid, it's not the end of the game, for the simple reason is that we have plans that we can partly put some of these things together with grants and businesses. So there's no gloom at all. But I'm sure we'll get the bid. But if we don't, we've got a foundation to work on still.
Yeah, cool. So we've got two questions on the town's bid. One is from Matt earlier on. Didn't take it earlier on, Matt, because we were scheduled to talk about town's bid anyway. Newark's Towns Fund has plans for an academy for pilots and astronauts. Are there any similarly ambitious plans for Stapleford Town Fund bid? No, I haven't seen anything about pilots and astronauts, Matt, and I'm bitterly disappointed. I might send a last-minute email and see whether we can get that included, because that would be absolutely spectacular. I want the Space Academy, and more specifically, I want a very cool uniform with Stapleford all over it. Si, you had a question.
Yeah, I've been approached. I'm a councillor for Stapleford Town Council, by the way. I've been approached by a couple of the council, I'll rephrase that, by a couple of the Stapleford shopkeepers who were alarmed by the Evening Post article, as you can imagine, because it wasn't written very well. and they were saying, if this psychopath comes through, are you closing the parking on the side of the road? Because they rely on that for a lot of their business, passing business or business coming in for 20 minutes, pick something up and go. So I thought I'd raise that because I've been asked by a couple of businesses about it.
It's a fair point, Si. Cheers for bringing it up. We're not at that stage yet. The idea of having cycle highways and being able to connect up to the infrastructure is something that conceptually I think everybody can get behind, but when it comes to the practical implementation, much like all planning things, there's going to have to be a lot of work on the detailed implementation. So I wouldn't want to rule it out on the basis that right now we know that it will present a little bit of upheaval. That's for later. We go, let's work on the concept. Let's get the money from the government for that concept, and then we've got plenty of time to hammer out the sort of dot the I's and cross the T's to make it work and make it not negatively impact anybody and make sure that it's actually for the better across the board as far as possible. But if any, if the businesses that you've spoken to want to get in touch, I can provide. I can chat to you afterwards, and I can give you email addresses for council officers at Broxtowe that are dealing with the bid and that will be running with the implementation thereafter, assuming we're successful. Because that sort of feedback after we've got the money, that sort of feedback and that sort of consultation is going to be necessary to make sure that we actually implement this right.
As the four shots have actually said, if it came through, they would close shop and leave Stapleford because it would make it non-viable for them.
Well,
and that's where I wanted to bring that up to your attention to.
I think that's overreacting because, you know,
yeah.
people are inherently fearful of change, but you can't do anything without changing something. So our job, after we've successfully got the money, is to make sure that it's spent in a way that doesn't disadvantage anybody and that does provide all the advantages that we want to get from it.
Oh, I understand. I wanted to bring it to you so you could see and hear from them.
It's good.
Thank you.
Cheers, Si. So I think that's about it for questions and comments on that.
Yeah, look, there's nothing else popping up anywhere. Is anyone want to put their hand up and ask a question, or are you guys all good as well? Okay, I'm flying through this. Right, so the last bit then is any other business and questions. Has anyone got any other business? Or
well, actually, I got a couple of things here first, Richard.
Yeah.
One is the amount of work that's been done by Broxtowe Borough Council regarding businesses in Stapleford, which is very important to keep the businesses running. £20 million has been spent on business throughout the borough to support them in this terrible last 6 months that we have had. And on top of that, we have £77,000 spent by the Borough Council that's on people who need to be fed. We are talking about food banks here through certain community groups registered with Broxtowe. On top of that 77,000, there was another £18,000 which was donated by business and public and councillors, apparently. And this has gone to help the food banks. Unfortunately, I say unfortunately, the county council only just hadn't even spent half their money that were given to them by the government to support community groups. So that is another item. But we at Broxtowe obviously the staff have gone out their way to support and help the people of Broxtowe, which is very important. So we're helping the businesses and we're helping the residents of Broxtowe. And Stapleford residents have not have been helped very much so. So I thought I'd get that over with first. before we ask any questions, if I may, I come on to the coronavirus. Now, the coronavirus, as we all know, we do not want to see a surge in coronavirus over this winter. Plans have been put into operation by Broxtowe in case this does happen. Secondly, can we just think about what we do when we go out to either take your car to the supermarket or walk to a supermarket or any shop within our town or borough? And please remember that when you go out and you take your mask with you, it's no good you, once you've been in the shop, take the mask off and strap it onto your wrist until you go into the next shop, because that mask you're going to have to put in the bin. Now, if you have a mask which is made, and there's lots of masks that have been made, and very colourful they are too, every time you get home, that mask has to be washed. When you come out, go into the supermarket or a shop, remember that most people use a card to pay payments for whatever goods that they purchase. What we have to remember is this. One is you have to put your card in a machine, so you're touching that, then you're touching the buttons for your PIN numbers or whatever numbers that you put in. When you come out of the supermarket, you go straight home. When you get home, you put your front door key in the front door. Well, remember that once you've done that and you get inside, first thing, just to remind people, wash your hands and wash that front door key at the same time. When you actually put your goods down in the kitchen or wherever you want to store them, remember that once you have done that, continue to wash your hands again. When the postman comes and he delivers a post, we don't know how many people have touched that letter of yours. Once you've opened up the letter, wash your hands. These things are very important to keep this virus away from Stapleford, keep it away from Borough, keep it away from wherever. I cannot say enough about being careful how we go about today than we did 6 months ago. And the last thing I will say is enjoy your weekend, but stay safe. Careful, kissing in the street or anything like that. You don't want to spread that virus. And to remind you all that the latest figure is nearly 42,000 people that are no longer with us. We do have to be so careful out there. So please remember, wash your hands, wash your key and the car key. Wash your keys, wash your hands, be careful. When you take your mask off, don't 10 minutes later put the same mask back on again.
Yeah, thanks, David.
Yeah,
it's cross-contamination and being mindful of where things have been is something that, the longer we're subjected to these kind of measures, the more lackadaisical people. I'm guilty of it myself as well. I've made a couple of faux pas to do with hygiene recently, just because it's been going on for so long that we're not necessarily thinking about it consciously anymore, and that's when mistakes kick in. So yeah, we don't want a second wave, do we? So
no.
Cool beans. Anybody have any questions or comments? Okay, well, I will say, before Richard wraps up, I want to say thanks very much. This was a bit of an experiment to see whether we could do a cross-platform meeting on Zoom and Facebook. And I can honestly say that if this were a normal CAT meeting in a church hall somewhere, we would have not had as many participants And so I think that this is quite a success for this format. And thank you to everybody who's tuned in and popped into Zoom and watching on Facebook. Thank you.
Richard, I would like the same to say thank you, and remember, enjoy your weekend. Be careful, be safe. You can never be too careful. All right. Thank you all.
Well said, everybody. And yeah, as the other councillors have said, and there is other councillors here as well, so thank you for joining in. And thank you for everybody. Like I say, if you need to get in touch with us, you don't have to contact us, guys, that's on here. There's other councillors in Stapleford. I know I've said it, but I just wanted to repeat it. You can go on the Stapleford Town Council website and find councillors' details. There might be someone else you want to talk to, and if you do, you know, I know they'll keep it in confidence if it's needed to be like that. You know, we're all there to help you, and that's what we can do. So yeah, I'm going to enjoy tomorrow because it's my wedding anniversary. So I don't know what we're doing. I'm hoping Donna's going to
Richard,
start, you know.
Richard, on your side screen you will see that we've had thanks, which is very nice of them.
Yeah. I've seen people
from Anne and from Steve
Yeah.
Carr, and yes, thank you very much for your comments.
And we couldn't do, you know, it wouldn't be worth doing this if the residents didn't give up their time to join in and that. So thank you to everybody.
Absolutely.
You know, we'll organise something again. There's a few things we'll come back to you with, and we'll just bang them on social media.
Yeah, and Matt, I'll give you some feedback, Matt, as to whether anybody likes the idea of training astronauts as well.
Yeah. All right. Take care, everybody.
Learn to drive a tram first.
Have a good evening. Cheers, everyone.
Bye all.
All right. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.
Congratulations for tomorrow, you and Donna.
Thank you. Toodaloo,
All right,
everyone.
I'll speak to you soon.
Take care.